Hey guys, back with another Maplestory video here. This time, last video of 2024. Well, I guess this coming out first video of 2025, but no podcast this week. Didn't really have time to record, but was able to put together a final gear showcase, well, stats showcase, gear showcase, and then PRs across the board for end of 2024, start of 2025. I always like to look back whenever I do these podcasts to see what the beginning of the year looks like compared to, the end of the year. And I think it always gives me great perspective. So I'm going to do one for my Paladin and then do one on my Demon Slayer just to remind myself kind of as a gauge of how far the game has progressed in a year. Because last year when I did this video or something similar, it was insane to see what the damage was like, what the cap was like, how challenging bosses still were, like Damien and Lotus, and how easy it is now. But the PRs that you saw, what guild dungeon scores were like, what Culvert scores were like, it was just a completely different game. And now 8 trillion. My numbers are all off. There's 8. Starts with an 8 right there. That is just insane to see. And then we're going to go into Culvert. Culvert it's just wild to see what affects Culvert compared to what it used to. With this 3% ignore enemy defense event, scores are insane, right? Something like Boss Rush, with all the stats that we're getting now, Boss Rush is impacting my scores significantly. I think this run was no different than the week before, except I used Boss Rush and it went up 5,000 points, which is a lot. Maybe not percentage-wise, but still a lot of points in general, just how much the damage has increased. And now, it's most likely not capping all of our lines in Culvert. So, things like Boss Rush, like I said, make a difference. Things like physical damage jewels versus EXP, which used to be the best meta before. Now, percent stat jewels are better just for the extra damage. It's cool to see, even though the gameplay, the strategy hasn't changed in a year. Still stand in this corner, still just eat all cures and all these damages. The purple, and the reason why, if you haven't watched the Culvert video in a while, or don't know why we stand in this corner, is because of the purple orbs or the purple stun attacks don't trigger in this right corner. So we're really only all curing one attack. Yes, there's flames on here, but it's being able to stand there in DPS and not really get interrupted is the best way to min-max and get consistent damage, min-maxing, every week, every run. So that is why we do this, and you'll see the score here is pretty absurd. I haven't seen a Paladin with 100 mil plus cap, 105, 108 mil cap, but I'm assuming 126 is pretty high up there. I don't know how it compares to other classes. I've seen other classes 140, high 130s, but I think Paladins are probably up there. If I had like 10 mil more cap, I think I'd be pretty high as well, knowing how much cap affects Culvert scores. So pretty cool to see if I ever get there, to see the end game. And then Gloom. So again, the end game bosses here is going to be Gloom and then Will. And this is kind of I think it's our second run with this team. So we're still getting adjusted. We created it. We split up our teams to get more people clears. So there's still a lot of room for improvement overall in the team. Gloom is still the most challenging boss for us personally. I would say I'm more stressed out, call-outs, mechanics-wise, death toll-wise, compared to Will by a large margin. You're going to see kind of how easy Will has become for the same team, the same people. Basically, I think one person changes out from this Gloom team to Will, and the mechanics are significantly different. The lines or the lives remaining are significantly different. And So you'll see you're going through Petrify phase here. Again, if you don't know, blinking up, you see everyone's kind of blinking up. If they have other people are blinking up as well, it really does make a difference. Just not getting hit by anything on the ground or getting stunned or disoriented or whatever, confused by the Petrify mobs, the black mobs, and then rinse and repeat. Kind of nice thing is, people still have a hard time with blinking up and avoiding the orbs. It takes time and getting practice and kind of a little bit of luck as well. But that is usually the most challenging. But thank goodness this team actually has 2 Paladins. So we were able to give 4 people got Synchro. And we had another Phantom on top of a Bishop. So we had a lot of support here. No time leap. And we figured that the extra single res from a Paladin or the Phantom actually was more beneficial than taking time leap there. And I think it worked out better for this team in particular. And you see I took off earlier. I took off Divine Echo off my pet. Really tried it out this run so that I could time it better. I think one of the issues before in previous runs was that I was not able to get my V3 paired up with Echo right away. So this just allowed me to control it better. I know a lot of people do this normally on most bosses, but I actually prefer to just let it ride because it is a 60-second cooldown, 60-second duration and a 2-minute cooldown. I just feel like in any boss, it's really hard to get that 60-second full uptime anyways, whether it's Will or Gloom or in Damien as well. There's always some sort of interruption. I would say 45 seconds, if you can get that window, is a huge win. But which is why I found that it's not really, it's kind of just more set it, forget it. I can focus on other things, do call outs. I can focus on mechanics and helping others as well. I just had it auto proc every 2 minutes. So this is the first time that I've done it. And actually, I did more DPS. My PR was much better when I just put it on my pet. And I think it may have been better in this run as well. You'll kind of see instances where I wish I had Divine Echo up and I wasn't able to synchro my partner in time because Echo was not up. But kind of part of the game, trial and error, practice new things to help the team get better and do better DPS. And I think it was like somehow survived there. Like I was all over the place, call outs and things like that. So Petrify here. Immediately blinking up. I think I end up using Synchro here? I think I do. I get stuck in the corner here and I can't really see if I'm stunned or anything. So I'm like taking all this damage, just trying to spam Synchro here because that's all I really have. And I unfortunately wasn't able to press Divine Echo, but kind of had to use it. I thought it'd be more important for me to survive with this team than to die in that corner. So was able to get it up, get my burst up here too, which is nice during the eye. So we got maximum kind of value DPS there. Not with defense match 4, but it's all right. And the team is actually looking pretty good. This team is comprised of people that I would say are, may not be totally qualified gear wise, but because we have kind of some few heavy hitters at the top, experienced players, we're able to compensate for people with lack of DPS or just lack of practice in the run as well. We have a few ults in here, and so it is a little bit more imbalanced as far as DPS, and the run could be faster if we had a more balanced team. But I think that's kind of the fun in it, right? Helping others clear, helping others get to do content, doing with them, and improving over time. Right? I think this was still our last run. I didn't showcase it because we played so bad, but I think it was like a 9-minute run. I think we ended up with 5 people remaining lives left. And here, unfortunately, you have to Synchro here because Petrified during eye is just going to be chaotic with the laser here. So bad timing there. But like I was saying, last run, we were over 9 minutes struggling. Thought we were going to fail. And we somehow pulled down out. And so this run was, we're at 6.5 minutes. We're going to clear it at 7-minute mark. 2 minutes faster, and we still are kind of down to the wire with live. So a lot of room for improvement. I feel like 7 minutes, improving by 2 minutes for the team in general is a huge win, right? Imagine if we just survive a little bit better in some of the situations that are controllable, like dying to, tentacles here, the one shots and things like that, but kind of worked out perfectly. Able to get my V3 up here, burst, and finish it off. And Claire beat me. Insane. Didn't even know it at the time, but shout out to Claire, the #1 hero in our server. And she's cranking. So she ended up beating me here. Good for her. Exciting little competition that we got going on. But overall, the team did much better. Even though we have 1 live remaining, like I said, PR of 2 minutes, we'll take it. We'll take it. Can't wait for next week to see how much we improve. We improve there. And this is the DPS charts a little bit, the battle analysis. And it's funny to see this versus my next will run, how the breakdown is different. But you can see my V3 is kind of that main, Grand Guardian is that main chunk of damage, 4 uses, but still almost 30% of my damage is just a massive, massive important skill to not misuse or miss time or get interrupted for and die with. It's pretty much make or break DPS. And then Will finally, again, like I said, same team, except for 1 different person. And we swapped out pretty much Pally for Sia, which helps us in Will a ton with phase 3 and kind of just hourglass protection during our test. And you can see like how much smoother Will is than Gloom. And I think there's a few reasons why, but I think Will is just more cut and dry. It is just more predictable. It is I think on the mechanics can be quickly, callouts can make a big difference. And just like, it's not as, like, there's not as much uncertain chaos as far as like for Gloom, Petrify Room can come during the eye phase, can come during lasers and all those things, depending on how the team does or depending how often you get hit. Will is pretty cut and dry. Tests are the same, dodging, but it comes at the same time every single time, and positioning and aggro becomes much more important for Will. And I think that's what makes this team really strong, is that I'm able to be aggro, keep aggro too. It's either me or Claire, and we're able to just position on the right, and the rest of the team is just able to stay on the left. And it's very simple for the rest of the team. Just DPS. If you get knocked back, blink back, right onto the boss, and then just survive the test. Right, the tests are very simple, and all of these mechanics and things that you see going on really is eliminated. Really becomes nothing. That really makes it much easier and consistent for everyone to do DPS and everyone to survive. So that's one of the things I like about Will. It is a long fight. This run for us is still 14 minutes long. But I mean, we killed it mechanically. Like I said, this was just our second run with the team. Second or third? It must be our second. I think our second, yeah. And for a lot of people, and they picked out quick, right? And this was a one shot right into, you can see kind of right into a clear. So can't really ask for much more than that. Gloom, we one shot and cleared. Will, we one shot and cleared all of our bosses on this day. That's really what it's all about, in my opinion. Kind of the DPS will improve, but mechanically, Will is very unforgiving if you mess up a test. So the fact that we one shot this means that people really were studying up. That's all it really is, studying. There's no gear around it. There's no callouts. Callouts can only do so much, and people just had to lock in, listen, pay attention, and know what to do with the test. And DPS is really not an issue, right? DPS is really easy to do. It's the test that really makes it challenging for Will. So 2 out of 3 tests here in phase 1 went very smoothly. Still 10 lives. I don't even think I used single res at all. in this run. And look at the team right there. Paladin DPS is just like a lot of classes will beat Paladins in Gloom like Claire does, but in Will, it just lines up perfectly with the test and the DPS windows that Paladins are just really, really difficult to beat, especially in phase 1 and phase 2. So if you have a good Paladin, I mean, they're probably the best aggros to have with Sacral, with the iframes that they have, the amount of HP and tankiness and self-heal. It is really hard. If you have a good Paladin aggro that can hold DPS, it is just so beneficial. And it's nice. Yeah, it's nice for sure. But you can see here, our team is pretty up there. Like Trufflelock's G is a bishop, fighting for that third spot, top 3, top 4. And then Claire, and then we have a lot of strong players in the middle. I think we have a lot of mages. Lumi's Kana in there. We got a Phantom, Sia, and then a Thunderbreaker. So very unique team composition. We got the basic support with the Bishop, a Pally, Phantom, and Sia. And everyone else is just mismatched DPS. But overall, it kind of shows that Will is very doable for any classes, even if you don't have great survivability. Like DPS is it's pretty much a DPS race in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So phase 1, smooth as it gets, right? No real worry about missing a DPS check marker. Not one single death. Test went great. So as good as it gets. And then phase 2 here, this is where I just switch on to HP. And this is honestly pretty stressful. If you've ever seen HP, gone to HP mode in a boss, let alone in Will phase 2, it is like, it will give you anxiety like nothing else in the game, I swear. Just seeing how like the HP bars just drop so instantly and they come back up, and then when they go down again and they stay down because of the mechanic of phase 2 where you cannot get heals or the power elixirs don't work. Like, it's just like stressful. And then when the test comes and someone gets hit, it shows, right? It shows, and it's panic. It's like heal, but also continue to test. Like right there, everyone, we're just saying heal and comms, make sure they press it, and here's the test. So this is really where, our first run last week, our first clear, people will get hit all the time. Even in previous runs, people will get hit and you see their HP go down, and then they panic because I would panic and because I'm looking at the HP. But overall, like you can see 3 straight same sequences. That helps. But the team is pretty locked in here. So pretty much all 3 combinations there in the first 5 rotations. So no one got hit, right? We have a Sia Hourglass protection, but overall no one got hit. And I think the main thing we tried to do was make sure that in between every test, everyone was pressing the heal. Because even if they had fair trade on, their HPs would tick down, and if they didn't have power elixirs, they would, slowly wither away, and one test could fail you. Could kill you. So we were making sure we were always having the heals up. Our bishop is great with party heals and fountains and kind of keeping everyone alive even when our power elixirs are down. And you can see right there, it got a little clunky with deaths. I'm not really sure what happened there. It just looked like a lot of things happened at once with the knockback skill and then kind of debris that falls or the legs that hit from the top. So unfortunate. A few lives right there. It gets a little hectic. But overall, I mean, you can't complain. Like, the deaths didn't happen right before test, so that helped a lot. We were able to kind of regroup, get into position, make sure we weren't panicking. And then luckily, I think we get a lot of the same cycles again here. So that's 2 in a row, 3 in a row. And the nice thing about that little sequence right there is you can stay in the same position, right? And then I have time to kind of do the callouts preemptively. So like right here, I'm just saying stay and then, double jump. I was telling them to double jump or teleport, which helps a lot because a lot of people just end up standing or like walking, and it's just such a long distance, and it's kind of sketchy. So teleport and double jump for those, and then walk for the other two test options. But smooth sailing, smooth as it gets. I usually don't show the test anymore because it takes so long, but I was really proud of the team for what they did there and how, they showed out. Like HP bars, no one got hit by a single test. The HP bar did not go down at all. So shout out to the team. Mad props. I was really happy and proud of them for doing that, because that is, once we get to this point, it is really, really hard to fail, right? With a lot of lives, we have great support. We do call outs with our Sia. We handle every yellow eyes. We stun. We have benediction. We have, it's basically just a DPS race and then cleanse webs here and there. And we actually get into a little sweaty spot where I think I die or aggro gets switched over to Claire, and we die, and then poison gets switched. Unfortunately, it was bad timing where someone blinked back on top of the boss at the same time the poison came, so they got poisoned. So this did get pretty hectic, but for the most part, if I can stay as poison, stay as aggro, the deaths and DPS, we had plenty enough. It wasn't really that sweaty with the minute remaining. 14 minutes may seem sweaty, but people don't know what sweaty is when in a 15-minute fight, when we were first trying to clear, and we were like, people were literally clearing at the 15-minute mark. 1 second left, 0 seconds left on the timer. So 1 minute left with all the cooldowns up, burst up. It was not really an issue. I still have a little bit of a hard time repositioning, getting back on top when I get knocked back and disoriented. I'm a little slow to react, but like right here I blink, but when blink doesn't come, like someone else got poisoned. You see that? It was unfortunate. It was like the exact same time that I got there, because I think she blinked back. So not her fault. It was just bad timing, to be honest. But she actually handled it really well. She got into position, I think, before I even noticed, because I thought it was me because I was standing right there. But then we had a few deaths here with the knockbacks. Web cleansing on the right side is a little challenging, but overall, I mean, like, what am I doing here? Yeah. But we're in a really not stressful spot at all. I think with a Sia as well, we have good call outs, good communication on what skills we can use for every yellow eyes. And if anyone doesn't really know when to use it, like whenever you see poison, that's when you know yellow eyes is coming. Whenever poison gets procced, I'll kind of show you the next cycle. You see poison. If you don't know what poison is, it's that greenish yellow around me in the middle. That is a poison. So you see it went away right here. But once it procs back on top of me, right here, yellow eyes is either the next skill, right, like that, or it's 2 skills after. So for that instance, like I mentioned, we didn't have an answer for, unfortunately, we didn't have a cooldown, party cooldown HP decreasing skill to use. That's why Sia is so valuable. They have Hourglass, they have Cup, they have Hat, and then we can rotate with our Bishop's Benediction and Shell. And just having that always have something up for yellow eyes or a stun as well, like I do right there, it just makes it really easy for everyone else not to worry about it. Worry about it. They're just DPSing in webs. And without a Sia, it does make it a little bit more challenging, but it's doable. You can still heal up, use iframes, things like that with communication and good callouts. But yeah, we're in a good spot here. We ended up with 5 lives. Never was really in a doubt, right? But what I like about Will, especially in Phase 3, when I look at the battle analysis, is that it's a good, really great indicator to see how strong certain classes are when you can just stand there and DPS. Because that's really what it is. There's no interruptions. There's no test or anything. It's just pure DPS standing there for 5 minutes. And Paladins in Phase 1 and Phase 2 are very strong, but I think they're decent. They're still S tier, but there's other classes that may be better in this time frame. So I'll show you in a little bit, what I like to look at, because Will is, the first 10 minutes, but then you have to scroll to after 10 minutes, 10 to 14 minute range to see what the peaks are and then see what the lows, the valleys are, right? So a lot of people just look at this, but everyone's chart in Phase 1 and Phase 2 looks like this. But the second part right here is where you can really see the peaks when I'm just min-maxing compared to the lows of like 200s, right? That is the difference. So just a little insight. Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. Excited for 2025. I'll see you next time.